They are rebuilding. They're committed to rebuilding the organization, which has won a Super Bowl. Yo, this is Trav with Yo Trav Sports Bag. As you can see, I'm not in the kitchen right now. I'm somewhere else. I'm in the same spot in which I do my basketball podcast on Yo Trav's Mad Ballin'. So just in case you want to check it out, go ahead and check it out. But before we do anything in this show, make sure you subscribe to the channel. So I'll give you 1 second to do that. As you can see, I gave you more than 1 second. You know why? Because I am that guy. I will give you more than what you bargained for. I will give you more than what I said I was going to give. So in addition to hitting that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up. Let's beat Mr. Algorithm once again. Also, hit the alarm bell. When you go to that alarm bell, you will see all. Make sure you hit that because that way you'll get all of our drops whenever I drop them. So whether it's football, baseball, basketball, whatever sports happens, sports aren't fluid. You never know what's going to happen or when it's going to happen. So make sure you're able to get it when I drop it because I'm going to be dropping dimes. Okay, handle that. So without further ado, let's talk about what this thumbnail talked about. Russell Wilson was traded from the Seattle Seahawks to the Denver Broncos, and it became the biggest news of the day. How did it become the biggest news? Because the previous biggest news was Aaron Rodgers at 38 years old getting his 4-year contract extension from the Green Bay Packers after all of the finagling and all of the gamesmanship, all of the talk about him possibly leaving Green Bay or even retiring or even becoming the host on Jeopardy. It all came to an end with a $200 million contract with $153 million of that money guaranteed for Aaron Rodgers for at least the next 4 years. So that's great for him. What does it have to do with Russell Wilson taking him off of the headlines? Well, what Denver had given up for Russell Wilson was a king's ransom. We're talking about Herschel Walker 2.0 in terms of just trading and all of the deals that were made just to get this one player who is pretty much not over the hill, but certainly not in his prime. At 33 years old, Russell Wilson goes to the Denver Broncos, and the Broncos give up and back to the Seattle Seahawks a multitude of players, including Noah Fant, their tight end, who was responsible for 4 touchdowns of the 20 touchdowns thrown last season, and Drew Lock, who they took in the second round out of Missouri just a couple of years ago, who certainly hasn't panned out. In addition, you're talking about the 9th overall pick in the draft, which is such an impactful pick. Denver also sent that to Seattle. In addition to that, they sent next year's pick to Seattle, first round pick to Seattle. And then you're talking about second rounders that they sent, the 40th pick overall in the draft. They're going to Seattle from Denver. And then in 2023, the same thing is going to happen again. And then it didn't even finish there. You're talking a 5th and a 4th rounder, or 4th and a 5th rounder in 2022. All of that going to Seattle from Denver for one 33-year-old Russell Wilson. So what does that mean for Seattle? They are rebuilding. They're committed to rebuilding the organization, which has won a Super Bowl, the Legion of Doom, and other things that they've put together that held this solid organization together. And with all of these picks, and now with a little bit more money, how did that happen? Bobby Wagner, the stalwart of their defense, a 10-year vet, an 8-time Pro Bowler. He's also released from the Seattle Seahawks. It saves $16.6 million in salary cap space. So if you look at it from a Seattle standpoint, you're getting all of these draft picks, premium draft picks, because they're in the first round, and then you're getting players. You know, Noah Fant isn't a stud, but he's a good enough player to where he's good in the role in which he's going to be in Seattle until someone overtakes him. Drew Lock is probably not going to be the future, but he's someone to hold the fort until they can either find someone for the future through free agency or the draft, or you know what? He might turn out to be great in a different environment. So all of these things coming into play, and I know Jamal Adams just can't be happy. I mean, just a little while ago when he left the Jets, he thought that he had gone to heaven because he might have been going through the playoffs and an opportunity at the Super Bowl, having Russell Wilson on his team. You know, it gives everybody a chance. Not the case anymore. So what does this mean for Denver? Well, I'll tell you what it means. They finally get their guy. Yes, he's a 33-year-old guy now, but he still has more in the tank than the feudal 11 quarterbacks that they've gone through ever since Peyton Manning has left. And I'm talking about a who's who of who don't know who. I mean, Paxton Lynch. I mean, these are the players that you had coming through, from Trevor Siemian all the way up to the often injured and well-traveled Teddy Bridgewater. You know, they just scored 20 touchdowns in the air last season collectively as a quarterbacking core. So Russell, even though he had just 25 touchdowns last season, he had 40 the year before. So the 15 touchdown drop off is still better than what Denver had to work with last season. So Russell Wilson will certainly be an addition for this Denver Bronco team. You know, and their young core, they have a good running back core. I mean, it's on the verge of greatness because they're working as a tandem. Javonte Williams, as a rookie, a second rounder out of North Carolina, he had a phenomenal year last year for a rookie and even for a veteran if he were a veteran player. Over 900 yards, over 4 yards a carry. He stepped on the scene and did what he should have done as a second-round draft pick. By the way, if you watched my combine video, it pretty much explains guys like him. He ran a 4.55 in the 40 at the combine, but he's putting up all of these ridiculous yards in the right situation, under the right circumstances, but he's getting the job done. And him teaming up with Melvin Gordon, the veteran running back from San Diego, now with Denver, they went over 1,800 yards together, both averaging over 4 yards per carry together. So that's going to be some pressure taken off of Russell Wilson and them, because when Russell Wilson finds the receivers and finally has guys who can catch the ball, or finally has guys who he can target and get the ball to safely, it opens up the running game. Let's not forget that. Tim Patrick had 5 touchdowns last season. Let's see how many more he can get now. How about Jerry Jeudy? He was a no-show. Let's see what he can do. So they have some younger players there offensively that Russell Wilson can certainly get on board with. I hope at the same time, this Denver Bronco team catches the ball as well as the Seattle Seahawks did, because last season, the Seattle Seahawks dropped the fewest amount of passes last season. Just 9 passes all year long. Denver wasn't too far away, but it was 16. That's nearly twice as much as the 9 the Seattle Seahawks receivers dropped last season. So hopefully putting the ball in the right place at the right time, which Russell Wilson has been known to do, will help in that department. So now the AFC West is completely different just because of one player. Now you have Kansas City, who we all know with Patrick Mahomes, has a Super Bowl, has gone to multiple Super Bowls, and he's a champion, and he may be going to more in the future. And the newest star, not rising star, the newest star, Justin Herbert of San Diego, certainly being around for the next decade, if nothing else happens, decade or more for the San Diego Chargers. You add Russell Wilson, which is a quick fix, because I know John Elway doesn't want to win now. He wants to win right now. And so he brings in Russell Wilson, and he gives up all of these future picks because of him and players. So you know he wants the job done right now. So they're going to probably be in contention immediately. And free agency hasn't even started yet. In addition to that, we're talking about the Raiders. We don't know what the Raiders are up to. 1 minute, David Carr is there. 1 minute, David Carr is not going to be there. Guess what? David Carr is still there. John Gruden is gone, but David Carr is still there. So we don't know the situation, which we really never know when it comes down to the Raiders. You know, they just do things differently, regardless of whether Al Davis is there or not. They do things differently. So we don't know where they stand right now, but depending on what they do at that quarterback spot, I still think they could be quite formidable in the division if they have David Carr. But if they did something better, there's going to be hell to pay in the AFC West. Russell Wilson now with the Denver Broncos. Check this out. Check out my combine show right here. And then you can go to my Georgia Bulldog show right here. All right, check those out. Until next time.